in the court. The somewhat honorable Jen Akin presiding over this seminar. Thank you so much for coming. I'm pretty sure... no questions yet. I haven't even started. Jen Akin. Me crazy. It's good. So, first of all, thank you for coming. I'm pretty sure this is the last seminar of Tales, officially. So, we're going to close you out. We've already had a couple shots of rum. We're going to have a really good time. We're rum people, so we're weird. It's going to be awesome. I just wanted to welcome you to Rum and Order. I conceptualized this on the beaches of Hawaii one day, and I'm really happy that I get to bring it to Tales of the Cocktail. I'm so excited. But basically what we're doing is we're putting the word Agricole on trial. The case before us today is one of culture, craft, and we need a little bit of clarity. The question is, who owns the word Agricole? Is it the sole property of Martinique's AOC, or is this a stylistic term that's now shared by a global community of cane juice rum producers? And what does this conversation offer to the category of rum overall? That's the big question, right? It might seem like just a case of semantics, but in the world of rum, words truly do matter, because this category can be confusing not just to consumers, but also to many bar professionals. So before we dive into this, I want to give you a little bit of background, a little bit of context, and you guys are going to participate a little bit as well. So agricole, if you did not know, it derives from the French word for agricultural, which is most closely associated with the Martinique rum agricole AOC. This is the only controlled designation of origin for rum in the world. It was established in 1996, and it governs the production of rum agricole made from only fresh-pressed sugarcane juice on the island of Martinique. The AOC sets strict standards around sugarcane varieties, harvest, timing, fermentation, distillation, additives, proofs, congeners, aging, and more. And all of this is designed to preserve terroir and tradition. Only rum produced entirely within Martinique under these rules can carry the AOC Martinique designation. Now, beyond Martinique, the French island rum GIs also recognize and protect sugarcane juice rum produced in the French overseas territories, notably Guadeloupe, French Guiana, and Reunion. While less restrictive than the Martinique AOC, the GI still ensures origin, raw material, and traditional production methods are honored, helping to distinguish these island rums globally. Together, these protections preserve the identity and integrity of French-style sugarcane rum, showcasing their diversity while affirming their shared heritage. So today, just for the fun of theater and to make this conversation more interesting, we have prosecution and defense. We have a plaintiff and a defendant. They hate each other, can you tell? So, the prosecution today is going to argue for exclusivity of the term AOC, to AOC Martinique and the French GI. The defense is going to argue for a broader use by any cane juice rum of integrity, and then we have the poor witness in the middle that has to fight them both off and argue for both of them at the same time. So I did want to say that today's seminar will be very respectful. We are, in fact, friends. We do like each other quite a bit. It's going to be respectful, interactive, and educational. We are clearly really passionate about rum, but at the end of the day, we all are on the same side, and that is to further rum, to grow everyone's knowledge and perception of rum and the appreciation and understanding of the category as a whole. That's really what we want at the end of the day. And who doesn't love a good fight? Come on. So I am your judge. However, you, the audience, are going to be our jury. So on this slide here, I actually have a QR code. There's going to be a couple of these pop up. And what I want you to do, I want you to scan it, and I want you to vote. There are several options for you. You are going to see the results in real time, as will I. And that way we can kind of, before we even get this party started, we can kind of see where everybody is sitting after my very basic overview of what we're going to talk about. And I think that that's a good place to start so you guys can see kind of where the audience is. So as you guys get those results, I do want to introduce myself and everyone on the panel. My name is Jen Akin. I have built my career around rum for the better part of almost 20 years. I managed a bar called Rumba in Seattle for quite a long time, taking the collection from around 400 bottles to around 750. My boss was not super happy about that. It's a lot of inventory. And now it has led me into my current role, which I could not be happier about, which is brand advocacy for Spiribam USA. So I get to work with Rhum Clement, Rhum JM, Chairman's Reserve, Bounty Rum, and they're some of my absolute most favorite brands, and I love talking about them. This is literally my favorite thing to do, is talk about rum. I've been really lucky to work with producers, educators, industry professionals to shape this conversation around cane juice rums. And if somebody were to ask me what my goal is in 5 years, it would be to have rum be something that is so much more understood than it is now. Next to me, we have Kyle Reutner. He is the general manager of the iconic Hawaiian rum distillery, KōHana. Their commitment to cultivating and preserving heirloom Hawaiian sugarcane can be seen in every aspect of their production and sales. Another incredibly smart and passionate person that loves rum. And honestly, like, again, this conversation started because we have already had this conversation just in a bar over drinks. So now we're just bringing it to you guys slightly less intoxicated. In the middle, we have Karen Stroud. Again, she's playing witness for both sides. She is what we call the rum captain at Rumba that I just mentioned. She curates this collection of over 700 bottles. She also hosts, how often do you do it? Monthly? Weekly?
Twice a year.
That's really? Okay. Anyway, she educates people a lot. She spends a lot of time.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
She spends a lot of time educating the staff. She also hosts these classes for the entire community, whether you are a professional or a consumer or just somebody that's interested in learning more. I have seen her presentations. If you want to talk rum nerd, this is your girl. So then at the far end, we have Ben Jones. He is my boss, so be really nice to him. He is the managing director of Spiribam North America. His passion for rum agricole runs very deep and stems from his childhood spent in Martinique. He actually brought rum agricole to the U.S. when he introduced Rhum Clement in 2005. Spiribam actually also owns Rhum JM as well as Rhum Clement. So two of my favorite distilleries in Martinique. So we're going to get started. That's enough about us. So first of all, I want to immediately lob this to Ben. My question to you, Ben, is can you speak to the historical roots of the term agricole? Tell us a little bit more about where that comes from and how its identity has been shaped by the French overseas departments, particularly Martinique and Guadeloupe and French Guiana, and how has this legacy contributed to the idea that agricole belongs specifically to these regions and their producers?
Thank you, Jen, and thank you all for being here. Honestly, it means a lot that the care and the passion for this category and what we're going to be talking about. The term rum agricole first appeared in print in 1855 when some producers in Martinique sent samples of rum to be judged in a competition at the Paris World's Fair. Martinique immediately came on the map because this new style of rum appeared, and these rums scored gold and silver medals throughout, and it really changed the shape of what people already were starting to believe in rum over 150 years ago. In 1895, you have the Martinican Rum Syndicate, which is basically all of the producers getting together, Rum Agricole Syndicate 1895, to start to craft and put together what are going to be the traditional flavor profiles and characters and what should be potentially the authority of how we're going to judge and make what is acceptable rum agricole to represent the island. Rum agricole was very important to Martinique and the French Caribbean because the declining sugar economy was really devastating to the whole island, and rum agricole came in and filled that void. And now today is a big part of the Martinique and the neighboring French Caribbean islands economy. So that's a little bit about the history of rum agricole and where it comes from. Of course, now we have the AOC. I would say that the syndicate that I mentioned in 1895 was really the sort of framework, the blueprint of what today is the AOC. So there's been legacies, generations, decades, centuries of people debating and fighting and trying to work together to build a framework of what rum agricole should be and how it's going to represent the island, the origin, the culture, the people, and now today it's really risen to be its own unique segment of the rum category. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, it
I
does.
mean, like, if you want me to continue with the slide here,
Yeah.
you know, the argument that I started to have with Kyle over drinks at a bar a couple months ago was that, you know, rum agricole is very much protected in the European Union, and it's, unfortunately here it's in the United States. That's the problem. There's no protection. You know, that's something I wish. You know, I always say we have to control the controllables, and that's a little bit outside of our control. If I look at, you know, we have the Scotch Whisky Association logo up there, and that's probably one of I think the most venerable, like, strongest trade organization that they're probably more famous or more notorious for their very, very strong cease and desist letters that they've sent to whiskey producers all around the world to defend and protect what is Scotch. Champagne is already very, very well, you know, protected, even though, you know, there is still a legacy of California champagne. And it doesn't just it doesn't stop with just, you know, beverage alcohol. You know, cheeses, particularly French cheeses, have an AOC and are also protected. And you know, I always like to throw in beef into this debate because
Wangus.
so many menus that I see are misleading the consumer about what is Wagyu versus Kobe, and Kobe is just a marketing term, otherwise known as Wangus. Kobe beef would be a Wagyu that is crossbred with an Angus, and but like within Wagyu, you actually have different levels of regulations, whether it's purebred or half or Wagyu influence, which you get to that Wangus. So all of this is really in the spirit of being transparent and not misleading the customer, the consumer at the end, and really also protecting the livelihood of a legacy of generations of producers who have really built this category and have really constructed this style of rum to represent their own culture and their own origin. And I think it really needs to stay with them and stay at home.
Wrong direction. Can you talk? Yeah. You have a little bit of a personal connection to this story as well. Would you like to talk a little bit about kind of like the history of Clement and that distillery's role in this conversation?
So on the slide there is Omer Clement. He's my great uncle. He started Rum Clement in 1887. Not because he was a huge rum enthusiast or even a rum producer. It was really with his influence as a politician on the island. He's the first person of color in Martinique to have a physician's license, to be a licensed medical doctor, which gave him a lot of influence on the island, which his sort of notoriety led to him becoming the mayor of La Françoise, eventually the prefecture, like basically the governor in Martinique. And he used his political influence to really basically band the small little producers who are out in the fields way far away from the large cooperative, these large sugar factories who were making rum from molasses. As the sugar economy was declining, you know, he really banded together all of the smaller producers, the Agricole producers, the farmers who were making rum just from cane juice because they weren't producing sugar right at their place, and said, you know, as the sugar economy was collapsing, maybe this is the pathway forward for us to keep our livelihood and our culture and our economy and our culture and our livelihood moving forward. And as his notoriety came to be, he purchased Domaine de l'Acajou, which is now Habitation Clement, basically out of bankruptcy, which was a small sugar factory and producing rum as well. And he didn't even know there was a distillery there, still there. Surprise. But that's because they were already starting to send their bulk sugar off to these larger factories producing sugar. They kept us still there because just the local community there that was working there at the factory were making their own rum from pure sugarcane juice. And that's really how he discovered it. And he found out that there were people, the island was dotted with these small little stills making agricole rum from pure cane juice. And, you know, with galvanizing and bonding all of these people, these producers together, and trying to get these conversations of what should be the correct way or not the correct way to do this, And of course, the French government, of course, but plays a big role into this part. But when you have World War I that arrives, all of a sudden, as the mainland metropolitan France is overrun, there's a huge call for spirit. First, to give some fortitude to the soldiers to get in the trenches to defend their country, but also for industrial purposes, medicinal purposes of what. And this was one of the sort of turning points for Agricole to really kind of come together, because it was the overseas French islands that were responsible for delivering all of that rum. These are kind of, like, we could go on and on about how some of the rules and regulations have come together, but these are the building blocks of how we went from, like I said, the syndicate from 1895 into rum agricole really becoming a category between World War I and World War II. Then seeing like rum there was a surplus of rum thanks to the world wars, where it had to sit around, and it started to sit around in oak barrels and become broken or aged or colored, where people were always used to drinking pure white rum, basically, off the still. But now you take age statements, and of course we adopt age statements that we borrowed from our cousins in France, like VSOP and XO and Napoleon Orage. And it's really traditionally a French style of rum from the French Caribbean. That's it.
Yep. So, yeah.
Yes. We do have some for you to try. And yeah, I guess you can try Kyle's later. But just to see the difference.
We're drinking, the very first one is the Clement Con Bleu. This is a single cane varietal. So this is a wonderful example of, Martinique wanting to preserve their legacy and what they've worked really hard to build. Sugarcane, the varietals of sugarcane that we can use are regulated. We can only use 20 at this point, different types of sugarcane. And this is one of the first that they decided to do a single cane varietal rum. It's a wonderful example of terroir, and exactly why Ben is fighting to protect the word agricole for this specific style.
This
I'm not on anyone's side. I'm going to fight for Kyle too. Don't worry.
This particular expression was first released by Clement in 2000, just for the millennial. It was supposed to be just a little experiment. The Can Bleu is a small, very fragile type of sugarcane. It's really not known for giving you a lot of sugarcane juice yield. It's really very, very aromatic and very, very floral, and so it would be normally known as a blending varietal to kind of increase your quality.
I'm going to cut you off.
Now you have pure
cutting you off.
varietal cane.
I think we need to hear from a witness.
Hello. Okay, so at Rumba, we have the really unique opportunity of introducing people to a lot of different kinds of rum. And one of the first places that we start with is talking about how the rum has no rules. That's not true. Rum has a lot of rules. You just have to find the rules, right? So where we start out with is we're talking about different categories of rum. Really easy category of rum to start out with is molasses versus sugarcane. The easiest place to go to communicate that is agricole. We use our words very carefully, and we make sure that we're saying agricole from Martinique, from Guadeloupe. This is our sugarcane rum that we're demonstrating that we can have this amazing breadth of flavor and all of these different things there. It's important because when you use those actual words, when you say agricole denotes a profile, it denotes specific rules that come along with the AOC, and it's going to have this certain type of flavor that comes with it. So when we use words, we're very careful about which words we use, and expanding on that is only just going to create a little bit of confusion for people. Sometimes we get people who come into Rumba and they're like, "Hi, can I have whiskey?" And I'm like, "Rumba." So we'll get there someday, but it's a fun place to start talking about the actual specific manner of how we use this words to denote.
You want to talk about this map?
Yeah. So we also have a bunch of different words that denote value, that denote a specific type of region. So we have Sharonda.
Excuse me. No audience interaction, please. Can the man from Jamaica please settle down? Thank you.
So we've got different regions that produce these rums.
What? Oh, back up. Backing up. Oh, back.
Back it up.
I went too far.
So we've got different regions that make different types of rum that have a name. Using the actual name associated with the type of rum is important. If they named it, we should use their name. We're going to use the language that they've given us to talk about their rum. So Sharonda in Mexico, it's a gorgeous spirit, molasses and cane base. We have, you're welcome, Zan. Agricole from Jamaica. Thank you, Worthy Park.
We don't necessarily love that name, but we tolerate it right now.
We've got
Love you.
Clarin
Love
from
you.
Haiti. We've got Agricole from Martinique and Guadeloupe. We have cachaça from Brazil. It's important to use the actual words that the producers have asked us to use.
I'd like to build on that slide, please. Because on that map, you'll see other places that also produce sugarcane juice rum, like Dominican Republic, like Barbados, like St. Lucia. We don't call it Slagricole. They don't call it like...
All right.
St. Lucia is in the shadow of Martinique.
Order. I will hold you in contempt. Zan Kong is not on this stage. All right. I might need bail money, you guys, to get them out of jail. All right. So, yeah, the GoFundMe started 20 minutes ago. All right. So, Kyle, hearing that historical case for Agricole being rooted on the French islands, how do you respond as a producer outside of that system, especially given KōHana's commitment to fresh cane juice, single varietals, and transparency, as well as high quality? Do you believe the term Agricole can evolve beyond its legacy to reflect method and intent in addition to geography?
Hi, guys. First of all, I want to say mahalo for being here. Thanks for showing up. Big thanks to Ben, Karen, Jen, Tales of the Cocktail guys, all of that. And we're really, really, really stoked on the caps. I don't know if I could be more thrilled to be on trial in a room with all of you amazing humans. So real quickly, to just cut right to the center of the fat, from my opinion, we on our small little island in the middle of the Pacific have heirloom varietals of sugarcane that have been there for about 1,000 years. So to put that in perspective, that's about 500 years before Europe decided to ship it over to the New World and start the Caribbean's basis of sugarcane, right? So we have this really glorious history of a plant. So we talk all the time about plant, and then we talk about place, and then we talk about process, and then we talk about people. And that's how we look at it. When we look at the global spirits and consumables, we look at it as plant first. So when we thought about what we are, and with an ode and a respect in our minds to the best sugarcane juice rum producers in the world, we said Hawaiian Agricole is just such a natural way for us to go, because we're thinking about who cares the most about this plant in the world that we can see. And we're looking around and going, this is a really lovely connection point for us to use what we view then and now as an adjective, something that describes something else. So if you were to, say, travel the whole world and gift the English language to different people, and then they used those words.
You're on thin ice over here.
You would be okay with that. And I think whether you're talking about English or French or somewhere else, if you're gifting the language to the island of Tahiti or Haiti or doing anything, so gifting the language then evolves and it changes. And so when you look at the word agricole or things like that, they are meant to be a descriptor to the rest. And when you look at the AOC and what they protect across the entirety of the range, it's place-based, and I love that. It's all place-based. And our love for AOC Martinique runs deep. It's amongst the most beautiful places I've ever been, some of the best humans I've ever met, and on this stage, people that represent the things from there. Our goal isn't to take that away. Well understood that it being loosey-goosey means that there's always going to be the opportunity for bad actors to go in a direction with it. We're without the idea of the other side of the sword, as it were. Like, it can cut both directions. I think the unfortunate thing is, if we push to get everyone to respect each of the four words, it's Rhum, Agricole, AOC, Martinique, right? So is it Rhum Agricole and that's protected? Is it Agricole Rhum? Is it Rhum with an H? What are we looking to grab here? And instead, in their infinite wisdom, the AOC decided to define it as such, probably so later they could define Rhum Industrial, AOC, place, or something like that. I think it gives you a lot more space to do it. And back to the two sides of a sword analogy, remember, rules are great for boxing you in sometimes. They kill some creativity. Some of my favorite people that make rum throughout this world find themselves unable to make something and then label it as such. So for us, we view Agricole as a word that amends another word. Just like the biggest bank for lending in France for farms is Crédit Agricole, right? It's the agricultural bank. The Department of Agriculture, just like we have in the US, is the Agricole, right? So like, we have this word that denotes something real, and now we're applying it in a way that is, I think, a bit of an overreach. So for us, we would like to go, hey, Agricole means, or maybe it goes to, and you guys are gonna be the ones that ultimately decide this, right? Maybe it's method champenois. You don't say champagne, but you do the things the right way, and you say method agricole, or you say agricole style. But I don't think we can throw out the idea of the word agricole at its whole, because it is the shortest distance between sugarcane juice and consumer understanding, in my opinion. That said, I know we all have different opinions, and that's okay.
Karen, oh, Ben, did you have something to say to that? You have a minute and a half.
Did you just like compare your rum to a bank?
It's money.
Make that money.
So much to say, but I think I'm going to save more of it for my closing arguments.
Okay, hand the mic off. All right, Karen, I think we need a witness, and now you get to be Karen 2 because you have to play the other side now.
Okay, I'm
doing it.
we really, really love to use terms that people have given us to describe their rum, right? That's the way we want to do it. But you know what we love more? People drinking rum. Yes. We love educating people. We love getting rums in mouths. We love getting knowledge in people's minds. So, sugarcane juice rum is made all over the world. And it's kind of become synonymous at this point when we describe a sugarcane juice rum as an agricole. We know what you're talking about, right? Like, it's kind of a synonym at this point. Of course, we're going to try to be more specific in our words, but we get it. We know what you're saying, and we love that people have even the understanding to use the word agricole. Produced all over the world. This is, if you put more of these on here, you wouldn't be able to read any of them because they would all overlap. We've got Hawaii, we've got the southern USA, we've got Madeira, we've got Sicily, we've got Japan, we've got Reunion. All of these different places are making sugarcane juice rum, and it adds to the breadth of sugarcane juice rum because we get to cross-compare them and we get to try different methods of making things and different stills and different fermentations and different cane varietals, and that adds and it builds on this system that has already been developed in Martinique, right? So you've got Clement from Haiti, which is very, very different from rum from Martinique. If you haven't had it, you should try it. But it's just a much different thing, but when you say agricole, we know what you're talking about. At Rumba, behind the welcome well, we have this wall that's all sugarcane, and we commonly refer to it as the agricole wall. It's not all agricole, but we even use that word, right? So at some point, words change and they gain their own meaning, and we understand that. We're happy that you're just talking about rum. We're happy that you're talking about sugarcane rum. And putting agricole on the back of Hawaiian does denote this prestige Like the way that you make rum is very, very terroir centric. It's very, very focused on cane varietals and process and all of these things. Some of these other cane juice rums aren't necessarily like that, which is the bad actors. But you've got good actors who can borrow that word and bring it credibility across regions.
And there were a lot of bad actors that appeared between 2010 and 2020. And that's when I really got really loud about this. These were rums that were produced from evaporated cane sugar. And then they would bring it up to somewhere far away from where that cane was harvested and add water and say this was sugarcane juice. You know, this is where I can say, you know, I've been to KōHana. They honor, they respect, like what their own terroir is. They incorporate as much of the Hawaiian culture into it. But find your own fucking term. Because, like Karen just said, there's sugarcane juice, cane spirit produced all over the world. In fact, there is as much cane spirit, cane juice spirit as molasses. Equal, thank you to Brazil, who's consuming 75 million liters of cachaça a year. Imagine if I showed up in Brazil and said I'm going to make a cachaça for Martinique. I'm not going to go to Brazil and say I've got cachaça from the French Caribbean. I'm not going to say I've got cachaça from Hawaii. Good luck with that one.
I think we're in a I'm unbiased, obviously I'm the judge, but if I must interject here, I think, you know, kind of at the basis of this I think at the basis of this conversation too is, you know, we're talking about producers versus somebody, which is why I wanted Karen here, somebody who is talking to consumers, and they are the ones that we really need to educate. I think a lot of us that are professionals and are producers, you know, we know the difference, right? I can say Agricole and be talking about KōHana and understand the difference, right? But the problem is do we use that word to not confuse consumers, or are they getting more confused because then we go, oh, but wait, it's not actually Agricole. That's actually cachaça, or that's Clarin, or that's that. Do we start at the beginning by giving them 19 different words for rum made fairly similarly, or do we start with one word and then we expand from that? What are we doing? I mean, there is no answer to this question that we are going to find in a 1 hour conversation, but that's the whole point of this conversation right now. So
well, if you go to a whiskey bar, are all the whiskeys on the Scotch wall? If you go...
Sometimes.
but we see this with agave. You don't just call it the tequila wall or the mezcal wall. It's the agave category. You know, it's within whiskey, you've got all these different types of whiskeys. And by the way, I love the fact that you call it the Agricole wall. I'm all about the competition. I want to organize the competition. I want KōHana to thrive and survive. But if you're respecting the culture, the place, and your own origin, it's all going to allow us to thrive together. But as the point that I want to drive home is, I really believe that you're misleading your customer and my customer, and could be stunting the growth of what we're trying to do, which is to elevate the rum category.
I think this is a wonderful opportunity for exhibit ABC. So you have KōHana on there too. I don't think we've had that yet. We also have what I'm calling exhibit B, which would be the Rhum Jam Terroir Volcanique. We wanted to give you the Rhum Clement Con Bleu and the KōHana Kea, both single varietals, one from Martinique, one AOC Agricole, and one single varietal from Hawaii. Kind of compare, pay homage to that terroir. KōHana is a beautifully made sugarcane spirit. It is phenomenally delicious. And I think that's why I wanted Kyle to be a part of this conversation, is because he's such a wonderful example of why this is a difficult conversation to have, right? Because like if there's anybody outside of Martinique who is doing it absolutely right, it is 100% KōHana.
There's an important note to make is that you are comparing two single varietal rums. A lot of rums are using multiple different varieties of sugarcane. This is very important because what you are drinking is its own single varietal. You're not getting that a lot. That's an important distinction to make, and that is credit to KōHana for making these single cane varietals. They're really doing the work to bring the terroir to their glass.
And do it with quality and intention.
And I do have to say, in the thought of misleading of someone, we all have very large names on our bottles, and then we have places on our bottles. and then we have words that are there to amend them. And so misleading it would be really hard to look at my bottle and be misled to think that we are somehow affiliated with Martinique, because I don't think anybody believes the maybe second largest place-based brand in the world, Hawaii, is in Martinique. So I don't think there's actually an opportunity for misleading that. But I respect your opinion on it.
I promise you they're friends. Okay, so now I get the opportunity to kind of do like a little cross-examination here. I'm going to ask you guys some questions, okay, because I want a little bit more clarity. All right, so Karen, this one's for you. Do you think that consumer and bartender confusion is truly a problem?
Yes and no.
Please go on.
So Rumba, we have the very unique opportunity to, as we like to say, preach the rum gospel. So at Rumba, confusion is not a problem because we have the tools to dispel the confusion. It's very easy to explain these things to people. We have certain words for certain rums from certain regions, and we use them, and we talk about them, and we define them. And Rumba is not a normal place. Rumba is a magical unicorn place that exists on the corner of Pike and Boren, where
Yeah, who's been to Rumba?
there's a couple big Rumba guys in this room right here.
There's some former employees in here too.
But it's a very important place where we get to talk about that. It's literally our job to talk about that. Other bars clearly do not have 750 rums on their back bar. Well, that's not normal. I think that does add confusion because rum is it's not a fledgling category. In the eyes of people, we're still learning about it, right? Everyone still wants to learn about rum. People don't know as much as they need to. And so when we use the word agricole to describe sugar cane juice rum, we're getting the point across, right? You have to start somewhere, and we're going to start at molasses and agricole, and then we're going to break it down from there, right? We're going to family tree it out of there and go branch and branch and branch. But you can't start at a 400 level. You have to meet people where they're at, and sometimes where they're at is, oh shit, rum is made out of sugarcane juice too? Yeah. So like you really have to start that simple sometimes. So yes and no. It's not a problem if you're willing to do the work, and not willing to do the work. That was I didn't mean to be dismissive. If you're doing the work, or if you're like looking into the research, but not everyone's going to research it that much, and we have to know that. So we're happy that people just know about rum and know there's different kinds of rum. Period.
Ben, do you have a tea punch story you'd like to tell just really fast?
Not so long ago, I was in Texas, and I ordered a tea punch.
What is it? What's a tea punch really fast? Just really quick.
That's a cocktail that you can't fucking steal.
I will leave your petite punch just fine.
On the rum list or the spirits list, it said they had Clement Canne Bleu. So I said, I would like Clement Canne Bleu tea punch. The bartender came over to me and put a beautiful sort of cobalt blue bottle of Europan in front of me and said, okay, let's make it. And I said, what? No, I want Canne Bleu. This is the only agricole I have in the bar. Well, your spirits list says you have Clement Canne Bleu. Yes, it's a blue bottle. How do you like your tea punch? I was like, I'll have a Stella.
Okay, to clarify, just for the jury, to give you a little bit more information, Europan is Charanda. Charanda comes from Michoacan. It is made from pot still sugarcane juice and column still molasses. It is not agricole, even remotely close to agricole, which is why it's important that we have these names. And a tea punch is the classic way to serve rum agricole in Martinique. It literally stands for petite punch, which is just a heavy pour of rum agricole, a little bit of sugar, and a coin of lime. So that's just a wonderful anecdote to explain why it is so important. Even like I've met some of the most well-versed, well-educated bartenders, and I say, do you have any agricole? And they go, what is that? And I go, okay, all right, we're starting down here. Awesome.
Starting at 101.
And you know what that means? That means I need to work harder, okay? It's not on that bartender, okay? I need to work harder. Okay.
He had
So-
the wrong night, the wrong ships for me.
Yes. All right. So my next question, this is going to go to Kyle. Can terroir, something that we've talked about a little bit, can terroir exist outside of a French legal framework? Seems like an easy question.
She
but-
lobbed this at me because of, she's feeling bad about Ben cussing at me, so she gave me the good one. Obviously, terroir matters through and through, and it's why we talk about plant and place as completely non-separatable ideas, and why we track them together all the time. Hawaiian Agricole, and we beat people over the heads with it, and they understand what we mean as we beat them over the heads with it over and over and over again, because our terroir matters like every other producer's does. Whether you're a molasses-making rum maker or somebody bringing in something 3,000 miles away to do whatever, the terroir of where it was grown matters, even if you try to kill it away by being a terrible distiller. But yeah, of course, terroir matters. It's a big, big thing, and I think it's part of why Ben has so much love for his brand and why he protects it so adamantly. It's also why I care so much about communicating across Hawaiian Agricole to people, because terroir does matter, because place matters so effing much. So yeah, it matters.
Absolutely. Okay, so, it kind of seems like using the word agricole and having this whole conversation around a relatively small-ish category within a larger category of rum seems kind of silly, right? Like, why are we focusing so much on this? But I think that this opens up a conversation for the whole entire category of rum in general. We have a lot of words that we use to describe rum, and they're not always the best word to describe rum. I mean, let's talk about what is a white rum, okay? That's a prime example. You could put Rumfire and Bacardi Superior right next to each other and be like, these are both white rums. They are the most opposite rums you could ever drink in your entire life. And again, it's all about confusing the consumer. So, I kind of wanted this to be a jumping off point for you guys to have that conversation, in your own head, on your drive, with your coworkers, with your friends, with your partner. I don't care. Have the conversation. But I also want to ask you guys, all three of you, I want all three of you to answer this question. How does this conversation contribute to the promotion of the category of rum in general? Do these different rules and strategies around making rum that already exist, is that helping? Is that harming? What's next? We can start with whoever's ready.
So I think that the conversation is a great jumping off point. I think Karen made an awesome reference to 400 level classes and things like that, and driving a through line through it. So, for me, everything's always going to go back to what's the name of the place that's producing it, and that's what matters the most. That's why Scotch is Scotland, right? Like, we have these things that are from a place, and they say that very thing on them, like on the bottles that say Martinique. They say Martinique, and they say another word, and that other word is doing the description, not that. And I think if we can get everyone to understand one thing, and it's the only thing I really care about in all of this, is that spirits that are made by people that care about growing them are the most important things that exist out there. And so whether it's Martinique or Hawaii, or you hate me for saying Agricole, we should all be caring more about farmers and production methods. And look, these guys at JM and Clement, just like us at KōHana, we care a lot about our farmers. We really, really give a shit about this. So when we look at it, it's place, process, people, after plant. And I just think it's really good to be able to drive that through line.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yep.
I mean, that was well said. I mean, no, come on, no. Well, I'm not conceding anything. Except I just want to give the guy a point.
Never surrender.
No, there's no surrender. I want to attack it from honestly from a really different point of view. Is that I don't think our expectation, anyone's expectation in the professional trade, is to really expect every walking consumer to understand all of the rules and regulations and what happens between what makes Scotch, and Canadian whiskey, and bourbon. I mean, but there is a framework that is out there where people can certainly identify what these segments of each universe of these spirits are, and effectively, and we need the help of bartenders and retailers to help, educate, just little tidbits, 30 seconds here, a minute there, over a cocktail, what have you, to really start to drive and see the diversity of the styles and the cultures and the origins and how these places are represented in these bottles. And I think what bringing it back to the subject of today is trying to clear this confusion where we've seen it already happen with the other mature spirit categories. I've already brought up whiskey before, I brought up now agave and whatnot. And what we all want to see is the rum category have its time in the sunshine. And it's because there is a beautiful diversity of cane spirits produced all over the world that have their own name, that represent all of their own places. But it's those conversations that help understand for, you guys and then the people that you're serving, your guests, to really understand all of why these products exist and how really culturally diverse the rum category can really truly be. And with that, I think that's what the growth and development of the understanding of what we're all fighting for is good rum.
Mm-hmm. Hear, hear.
Karen?
I have to drink this.
Drink first.
So coming at this first as a proponent and educator of rum, talking about rum is great. We love that. Do more of it. This conversation adds to us just talking about it. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about how amazing this spirit is, how so many different things can be encompassed in one thing. You can go from one end of the spectrum to the other. But words do matter, right? The way that we use the words matter. And we want to make sure that when we're talking about rum and we're talking about these things, we're talking about it at a high level. It deserves to be talked about at a high level. We're not just grouping it all in one base level. It's just rum. No, it's more complex than that, right? And we deserve it to be more complex than that. And so, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Sorry.
We plied her with a little bit of rum before this.
So, anytime that we talk about rum is a good talk about rum. 90% of the time we talk about rum is a good talk about rum.
Just avoid the internet, you know.
Don't go on the internet. You're never going to learn anything about rum on the internet from people screaming into Reddit.
On Facebook. Yeah. I will say, kind of my perspective is imagine if somebody was drinking Fireball and was like, man, this is the best Scotch whiskey I've ever had. Wouldn't you be like, what are you talking about? That's what happens in the rum world. We deal with this every day. They're like, oh, you know what my favorite rum is? Captain Morgan spiced rum. And you're like, Malibu. How about Malibu? It's my favorite rum, right? Love that conversation.
You know it is.
It's my guilty pleasure, but I don't call it rum. There you go. Thanks, Abigail. We have a rowdy jury today. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I forgot. Somehow I forgot I was holding it. All right, so we are kind of closing out time, and I did want to give everyone a little bit of time for their closing remarks, and then I'm going to have you guys vote again. And I have your results from earlier, so we're just going to see if anybody was swayed one way or another. Kyle, would you like to start with your closing remarks?
Sure. Once again, I just want to give a big mahalo and give you guys a lot of aloha for showing up here today and for caring about it. And as part of the point of that, you all understood both of those words. It's a different language. It's used by somebody who's not using it the rest of the time. And it's connected to real meaning, even though it's somewhere else. And words are always evolving. They travel all around. And in our opinion at KōHana, the word Agricole has evolved, and it is now encompassing this side of things, which is fresh sugarcane juice spirits. And it collects the whole category with lots of love for the AOC Martinique rum Agricole with the hard H and all of that. So that's where we look at things, and that's how we do.
I've had this debate several times with another very important person in the rum industry who I love and respect, but we have a different opinion, and he will say to me, well, Ben, what do you call a croissant in the United States? And I said, unedible. Where I'm going with this is that there are no shortcuts to this.
It's a good one.
I said, Rum Agricole first came to be in 1855. The first sort of authority, 1895. And if you read Matt Petrick's book, you can get all the rest of the details all the way to when the first application to the INAO, which is the ruling authority over all of the AOCs, the first application was put into in 1973. And at that time, you had 24 independent rum producers in Martinique who all fought very hard to get their rums recognized next to Cognac and Armagnac and Calvados and Bordeaux and Burgundy and Champagne, of course. And of course, throughout those 23 years, they had to also debate internally about what their character, their flavor, their profile, their rules, their methods of production, what they were going to agree upon, what was going to make sense for how the farmers were going to be able to work, in the rainy season versus the dry season and whatnot, which all kind of come into the envelope of what is how we are making Rum Agricole. There are no shortcuts to this. I know you've been making Jagricole for like a year, right? Over there. So what I really would like to encourage you to do, your homework, is to get together with your peers, and maybe not even just in Hawaii, but anyone else that's making cane spirit rum that doesn't come from a place that has centuries or generations of these traditions and culture, is to band together and find, the term that you can, because it's going to take years of debate, that you're going to have to fight with other players who might be some of those bad actors that we were talking about. What is going to represent, whether it's just Hawaii, is it the United States, is it West Coast, is it Southern United States, whatever. I'm not here to tell you like what that's going to be, but for everyone to band together and create your category. We've seen it just happen within the last few years. I mentioned before, the Scotch Whisky Association is a pain in the ass to deal with, but thanks to their fierce protection of the Scotch label, I would say that a lot of American whiskey producers who are producing single malt for the last 30 years or so now can celebrate the fact that in 2022, you have an American single malt category. And it's about to be ratified probably by the end of this year. And they have their own rules and regulations by all of the whiskey producers here in the United States who are producing single malt, that it's 100% malted barley from one distillery. I'm not even an expert at all this, but Maggie's here. She can probably chime in outside. Queen. But again, after 30 years of producers doing that, I'm just using the American single malt category as an example, that should be, I'm talking to you, but it should be the goal and objective for all of the other, let's say, newer producers that are, not 100 years old or whatnot, or not coming from these different cultures, to band together and find your own framework, to find your own, what is it that you want, how your bottle to represent, and how is your customer going to appreciate what you're doing?
We like when you talk about rum and you consume rum and you learn about rum. We're going to meet you where you're at, and words are going to have different definitions when you're on your journey of learning about rum. And that's the point of it. You might not know what the hell Sharonda is in the very beginning. We're going to get there. That information is out there. We'll find a way to get it to you. I'm glad that you know the difference between molasses rum and cane juice rum. I'm glad you're drinking rum. We're all just glad that you're consuming this amazing, gorgeous, beautiful spirit. The words that you use to describe it will evolve over time.
Thanks. All right. Yes. Feel free to clap. Before I put up the last QR code, actually there's one more after that because I just love QR codes, but before I put that up, I just want to say, obviously, we're all here for the betterment of this entire category. I have literally built my entire career. I gave up medical school to do this, and I love rum so much. I have fought my ass off for this category. I love selling it. I love walking into a bar with a more than their well-run bottle of rum and say, you should buy this instead, and here's why. I'm obviously very passionate about it, just like all of these three people up here. And again, we're not going to get anywhere if we're not having this conversation. And the whole reason that I wanted to do this seminar was because I wanted you guys to feel even a tiny percentage of the passion that we have for this, and I want you to share that with your friends, your peers, your coworkers, everyone. I want you to feel impassioned to talk about this and to read the books and to attend the talks and go to the rum bars and ask the questions and even say, hey, I've heard about this tea punch. I've heard about this Agricole. Do you have anything like that? Oh, that's Sharonda. Cool. Okay, maybe I won't have a tea punch. Can I have a daiquiri instead? So that was kind of the reason for this whole thing. And I hope you guys are leaving with just a little bit of that passion. Here is it's basically the same question. I just want to see if anything has changed. So feel free to scan that. While you're doing that, I just want to tell you the results of the first go around. That was almost an hour ago. Seems like just yesterday, right? So the winning answer by just a little bit is of should the word Agricole be reserved for French GIs and the Martinique AOC is by 38% no. So y'all are on Kyle's side at the start here. Yeah.
Go Kyle!
Quite a few of you also said you needed more information. 23% of you said, yes, it should be reserved for Martinique. And then 2% of you said, I'm just here to drink good rum.
To the group that said you need more information, you're awesome. Like, the world needs more of you. That matters.
All right. I'm going to
Learning together.
scan this code so that I can also vote and I can...
What are you going to vote?
I have to vote in order to see the results. I'm not telling you my vote. I'm unbiased.
That was my question.
I'm wholly unbiased. All right. Okay, is everybody done? All right, so should the word Agricole be reserved for French GIs and the Martinique AOC? Yes, but we need classification for other cane juice rums. That is the winning answer. And now 4% of you, it has doubled, 4% of you have said, I'm just here to drink good rum. Before we go, I just want to give a huge shout out to the Caps. I have been a Cap since 2016. Yeah. Kyle was a Cap in 2012, I think nearly the first year that they had the Cap program. Nothing would have been possible this week without any of them. I have worked my ass off in the Cap program. I know how hard they freaking work, and I love them so much. So please say thank you to them as you leave. Yeah. Last but not least, I have one more QR code for you. This is, if you have anything that you want to say, if you want to share, this is more of like a long form for you to actually write in word. If you have an idea, if you're like, hey, this is what I think this style of rum should be called, throw it out there. Like I said, we were not going to solve this in 1 hour. There's no freaking way. We've been talking about this for hundreds of years. So I wanted to have that. And if you guys follow us on Instagram, I, of course, will be posting all of this. We'll be posting a recap. I put all of our Instagram handles as well as our emails. If you have any questions or you want to talk to us or just want to say what's up or tell me that I did a great job because I love that, please feel free to reach out, okay? And again, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Real quick, hold on.
And just
no,
one more
hold
thing.
on. No. I'm holding both of you in contempt and you both owe me $100, okay?
Thank you, Jen.
Just one more thing.
Oh my God.
Cool, drink your rum. Let's go. Baby bird daiquiris.
Say that. You promised me baby bird daiquiris. That's so good. Where are our daiquiris?